Hello friends, hello professionals, Simone back. Welcome back to my channel, The Sea of Regulation. In today's video, we're going to be talking about a few things that may be hampering your career in financial services. And some of these things I've learned from personal experience. So, if this is something that you think is going to be interesting to you, then definitely stay tuned. But first, let me get the usual disclaimers out of the way. I am a financial services regulator. Don't judge me because of that. I'm actually a good person. But the views on this channel are all my own and not the views of any regulatory authority or international standard setter. I'm also not providing legal or professional advice, so please don't take it as such. Just my views, just here for a discussion. Now with that out of the way, let's dive in. Over the years, there are a number of things that I've seen that have hampered careers in financial services. And my focus over the years has been in the field of compliance, everything around compliance and regulation. And one of the things that I find harms not just individuals but organizations is groupthink. It's very hard to be a lone voice in an organization when you have a differing point of view. And I think it's critical, especially now, there are studies that prove this, to embrace the minority view, to actually, encourage people to think differently because you get a different result or you get better results. Where you have groupthink, it tends to stifle creativity. It tends to stifle strategic development of a firm. It tends to lead to stagnation. And it's just not good. And it's tempting, especially if you're a compliance officer, it's tempting to go the way of the crowd because there's a lot that may be coming up against you. And I can tell you as a regulator personally, being the lone voice is hard. It is very hard. But I would encourage every one of you that have your own unique individual thoughts to be brave enough to actually continue having those thoughts and putting those thoughts out and letting people know what you think, because that idea may be the thing to really make change and develop a better organization, or just in your little unit to be a better compliance professional. I think that having individuality of thoughts, having unique perspectives is so critical, and now more so than ever today. So avoid groupthink at all costs. And I'm not saying to be a contrarian just to be difficult. I'm saying bring your authentic self to the discussion. Another thing that I've seen hampering your career, or anyone's career actually, is poor documentation. Sometimes we get passionate about particular issues. I'm one of those. I'm definitely one of those passionate people. And we say a lot of things, we have a lot of discussions, but sometimes we're so caught up in the moment that we don't write it down. And I can tell you that that little absence of documenting your thoughts, your convictions, actually hurts your career. Because what happens is that, people will move on and not really reflect on what you've said. And it's not to say that they have to take your ideas, but I think that it's important for you to document your views and make sure that you have something on paper. And this is not even just for compliance officers, this is in any career. Documentation is so important to make sure that your representations live on, because when it comes time to remember who said what, I can tell you, as we say in the Caribbean, the he say, she say story don't work out. And it is, of course, one of the things that you want to have for when you're being evaluated. Again, forget financial services, forget compliance. Just in any organization, document, because when you come to that point of evaluation and you're looking for your promotion, you're looking for your raise, how else are you going to validate what you've brought to the table and what you've contributed to the firm if you've not documented and you don't have those records to support you? And the documentation may be your contemporaneous notes. It's not just for James Comey, but you can have memos or just emails going to your supervisors or colleagues. Those can be points to help document your position on a number of issues. And I see the absence of that hurting so many people professionally. It's one of the tips that I wish I knew earlier. I got it early enough in my career, I think, to help, but it's something that I would want to tell any of you to focus on and make sure that you're doing, regardless of what industry you're working in. The third thing, and these are actually people, that I've seen derail people's professional development are what I like to term as leeches and sponges. No, this might cause some controversy, but I'm not talking about people that you are mentoring with genuine interest. Who I'm talking about are those people that will come to you to suck all of the ideas out of you and then run with it as their own. Those are the leeches. And they tend to take up a lot of time. They always want to discuss. They tend to be very charismatic, very personable. And they come, they want to discuss an issue, and before you know it, 2 hours have gone and you've not accomplished your work. And chances are that same person has gone off and made sure that whatever they needed to do is done. The sponges tend to suck that information out of you and give nothing back. So I really, it's one of the things that is uncomfortable to speak about, and sometimes it's hard to identify because they're so very friendly, but it's one of the things that can derail your career. They come, they want help with certain things, and they come very, they're very flattering, and they say these things to you to encourage you to help them. And all the while you're advancing their career and not necessarily advancing your own. And I would say learn very early to recognize who are the leeches and sponges that are in your professional life that is stopping you from making gains, from stopping you from being promoted. And if you have ever had an experience with a leech or a sponge, drop it in the comments below. Like I said, it's difficult to talk about. It's something I don't think people really bring up. It's something that is painful when you realize that you've been used. And so what happens is that you tend not to talk about it. But I think that recognizing that this is a thing is important. And one of the areas that you could work on your productivity is that you limit the time that you engage with them. So you give those people time, because it may be genuine, and set your boundaries to make sure that you're not wasting 2 or 12 hours in a day feeding these people with information that advances them and does nothing for you. The next thing that I've seen that has hampered professional growth in, again, any area is a failure to develop your own brand. And I will tell you, this is a personal one for me. I allowed people to define my brand. Now, in some parts of my professional career, I was fortunate that my own brand development took a very good turn. And I like to think that I am well respected for my knowledge, but a lot of people don't know the real me. Because they're persons who will put out what they think others should see you as. And it's important that you stop that very early on. Develop your own brand. What do you want to be known for? And again, this is not just in relation to financial services. This is in relation to any career. Like I said, this one is personal for me. It's one of the missteps that I've had in my career. And what it does, it shuts you off from a lot of opportunities professionally. Shoot, it may even shut you off from opportunities in other areas of your life. So make sure that you take ownership of your own professional and personal brand and guard it very intensely, because it can make the difference between you advancing in your career or you stagnating and just not moving. Now, I think I don't want to make this video too long, and so what I will do is one more, and then I'll probably do a part 2 to this video. The next thing that I have seen that harms people in their professional growth is actually ignoring networks. And it was one of the other things that I did for a little while, and I had a friend almost a decade ago encourage me, and he was actually quite persistent about getting on LinkedIn and making sure that I developed networks. In terms of networking on a personal level, I am very good at that in relation to overseas colleagues. In relation to domestic, I live on a relatively small Caribbean island. It is difficult at times with the networks because you don't have a large pool of people to mix through. And the point I made before in terms of developing your personal brand actually impacts your ability to build networks domestically. But I took his advice. I got on LinkedIn years and years ago when LinkedIn really didn't have a lot going on. And I've developed quite a bit of a network on LinkedIn. And shameless plug, follow me on LinkedIn. Just go and look for Simone Martin. You'll find me. You'll find the picture and everything else. And if you're interested in connecting, definitely just reach out to me there. But building your network is so important in terms of helping your professional development because you get other ideas, you get the input from others, you learn from professionals that are experiencing the same things or different things in different areas that you've never thought of before. You get opportunities to learn. I'm passionate about the learning process. And I think that it's one of the things that in this particular region, in the Caribbean region, we could do a little better in relation to our networks. I've seen a lot of improvement with that over the years as people have come to recognize the importance of building your networks. And so it's one of the things that I would encourage you. Again, doesn't matter if the field is financial services or something else. This is one of the areas that I think is important for you to develop. So like I said, guys, I'm going to make a part 2 to this video because if I kept going, it would be pretty long. But at this point in time, if you've not already subscribed, please subscribe, please. I would want to encourage you to leave comments below because this is not the typical discussion that tends to come up with regulators, but it's definitely one I think that is needed. So make sure you hit the like button if you enjoyed this. Make sure you share with your friends, even outside of financial services, and hit the notification bell because I'll definitely be coming back with more videos.